They didn't wake up as strangers. They woke up as a mistake the world refused to let exist. On the night the storm swallowed the city, Lila discovered the truth. Her marriage wasn't love, wasn't fate, wasn't destiny. It was a contract written in secrets and blood. Adrian, the man she had slowly begun to trust, wasn't just hiding a past, he was hiding another version of himself. A mirror, a rival, a living shadow who wanted the life Adrian had, and who believed Lila was the key to owning it. Now, the world outside wants power. The world inside wants survival. And Lila? She just wants to know whether the hand she's holding belongs to the man she loves, or the one pretending to be him. As thunder splits the sky and the house fills with footsteps that don't knock. Love isn't the question anymore. It's a weapon, and someone is about to use it. Before diving into the gripping details of this story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more fascinating stories. The rain didn't merely fall the day they married. It thundered, like the heavens themselves were unsure of the vow they were witnessing. Lila stood at the altar in a borrowed white gown, trembling slightly beneath her veil. Across from her, Adrian's jaw was set, not in anger, but in quiet acceptance, like a man signing a contract he didn't choose to read. Two families, bound by promises older than either of them, had decided their fate. A marriage of convenience. A union of necessity. Two strangers, one vow. They didn't look at each other until the vows were spoken. "I do," Adrian said, the words sounding more like a duty than devotion. "You do," Lila whispered, forcing the syllables past her heart. Their fingers brushed when they exchanged rings. It was the smallest touch, barely there, yet somehow it lingered, echoing long after they withdrew their hands. The reception blurred like a watercolor painting left in rain. Polite smiles, awkward toasts, dancing with distance between them. And then came the wedding night. Two separate sides of a shared bed. Two souls pretending not to notice each other breathing in the quiet. The city lights spilled through the window, silvering their uneasy silhouettes. "Let's not pretend this is something it isn't," Adrian finally murmured. Lila turned toward him for the first time, not a bride now, but simply a woman, honest, vulnerable. "I'm not here to chain you," she said softly. "I don't want to be the villain in your story." Something flickered in his eyes. Surprise, respect, maybe relief. Days turned into weeks. They learned each other in accidental ways. He discovered the way she paused before laughing, like she was still learning how to be happy. She discovered the silence he carried, not cold but wounded, like someone who had loved before and lost too deeply to try again. They talked late at night, shared breakfasts that turned from awkward to warm, argued once, passion igniting for the first time and leaving the air electric. And somewhere between the first reluctant smile and the first shared secret, the distance between their hands simply disappeared. Adrian began looking for her voice in every room. Lila began feeling safe when he was near. It didn't happen all at once. It happened in small things. The warmth of tea he left waiting for her. The way she started leaning closer when they walked side by side. A laugh shared in the kitchen at midnight. A look that lingered too long. Until one evening, he kissed her. Not because duty demanded it. Not because tradition bound them. But because desire finally found courage. She kissed him back, and the world went quiet. They were no longer strangers. They were becoming something dangerously beautiful. And just when love finally began to bloom, Lila found a letter hidden in Adrian's study. A letter with her name written in his handwriting. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Her vision blurred halfway through, her heart pounding like thunder. Because what she read inside would change everything. Her breath caught. Her voice broke. And as Adrian walked into the room and saw the letter in her hands, she whispered, "Tell me this isn't true." He froze. And the silence between them suddenly felt more terrifying than the day they married. Adrian's breath vanished from his lungs. The letter hung between them like a blade, fragile paper with the power to shatter everything they had begun to build. "Lila," his voice cracked, not with fear, but with something far more dangerous, pain. Her fingers tightened around the page. "You knew," she whispered. "All this time, you knew and you didn't tell me." A storm burned in her eyes, Hurt, betrayal, disbelief. Not anger. Not yet. That was what frightened him most. I was going to, he said softly. I swear I was going to tell you. I just didn't want to ruin the illusion. Her voice trembled. Didn't want to destroy your perfect little arrangement? He stepped closer. She stepped back. The single step between them felt like an ocean. Lightning flashed outside, illuminating the truth written on his face. Guilt. Sorrow. It was there now, unmistakable. I didn't plan any of this, Adrian murmured. Not the marriage. Not the way you laugh in your sleep. Not the way I started waking up just to hear you breathe beside me. And certainly not, he swallowed hard, not loving you. Her lips parted, but the wound ran deeper than his confession. Her trembling hands lifted the letter again. I deserve to know, she whispered. From the beginning, I deserve to know that this marriage wasn't just an arrangement, it was a bargain. And I, her voice faltered, I was the price. Silence thundered. Lila. Adrian grabbed her wrist gently, terrified she would disappear if he didn't hold on. Please, listen to me. I made that promise before I knew you. Before I knew who you were. Before you became the only thing that feels real in my life. I'm trying to fix it. But you already chose, she said softly. You chose your duty. You chose your secret. You chose to let me fall for you without knowing the truth. Her eyes softened, just for one aching second. And I did fall, Adrian. His heart twisted. A tear slid down her cheek. He reached up instinctively to wipe it away. But she turned her face. The sound of her wedding ring clinking against the wooden desk echoed like a bell tolling in an empty church. I don't know what to believe anymore, she whispered. The knock. 3 sharp, commanding knocks at the door. Adrian paled. Lila turned slowly. Who is that? He didn't answer. A cold dread crawled through the room. The knocking came again, louder this time. Urgent. Unavoidable. Adrian. Her voice shook. Who is here? He looked at her the way a man looks at the one thing he cannot bear to lose. And the doorknob began to turn. The door started to open. And everything they thought they still had time to explain was about to run out. The door creaked open. Rain whispered against the windows as a shadow stepped inside, tall, composed, and terrifyingly calm. Lila's heartbeat thundered in her chest as the figure finally emerged into the light. A woman, elegant, powerful, the kind of presence that didn't enter a room, she claimed it. Her eyes immediately locked onto Adrian. So, she said, voice smooth as glass and twice as sharp, you finally told her, or did she have to find out on her own? Lila's breath caught. Adrian's silence was answer enough. Oh, the woman smiled softly, almost pityingly. So it was the latter. Lila swallowed. Who are you? Adrian's lips parted, but for a moment, no sound came out. The rain roared louder, as if the sky itself leaned closer to listen. This is Evelyn, he finally whispered. My fiancée. The words shattered between them. Lila felt the world tilt beneath her. The room swayed, but she didn't fall. She refused to. Fiancé, she repeated, barely breathing. As in, before the wedding? No. Evelyn's gaze softened. Currently. Then she tilted her head slightly, studying Lila like an unexpected complication. You weren't supposed to get attached, Evelyn continued calmly. This marriage was temporary. A legal shield. An arrangement to secure the contract. He signed knowing the terms. We all did. Lila's stomach hollowed. So I was a placeholder? She whispered. No. Adrian finally found his voice. Desperate. Lila, I swear to you, I didn't mean for any of... Evelyn lifted a hand, silencing him. She deserves honesty now, Evelyn said gently. Something you've been incapable of giving her. She turned to Lila. This marriage expires in 3 months, and when it does, he leaves you. He returns to me. That was always the plan. The words sank into Lila like ice. 3 months. Their laughter. Their late-night talks. His kiss. All of it stamped with an expiration date she never knew existed. Her chest tightened painfully. So every moment was borrowed, she whispered. Every promise, temporary. Adrian's eyes shone with something dangerously close to tears. Lila, I didn't think it would matter, he said hoarsely. Then you became everything. I was going to break the engagement. I was going to choose you. Were you? Evelyn asked softly. Because the board thinks otherwise. Your family thinks otherwise. And after tonight, her gaze sharpened. You may not have the luxury to choose anyone. A chill swept the room. What do you mean? Lila asked. Evelyn released a slow breath. There's more, she whispered. There's something he hasn't told you yet. Something bigger than both of us. Something that makes this marriage far more than just a cruel arrangement. Her voice dropped. And if you stay with him, you're already in danger. The lights flickered. A car screeched outside. Adrian's phone buzzed violently in his pocket. He read the message, and the color drained from his face. He looked at Lila as if it might be the last time he ever could. Lila, he whispered, voice breaking. You need to trust me now more than ever. Her heart twisted painfully. Trust, she breathed. After everything? Another flash of lightning illuminated the fear now etched across his features. He grabbed her hands. We don't have time. Time for what? She whispered. The windows rattled. Footsteps echoed outside the house. Someone else was coming, and whoever it was, wasn't knocking. The footsteps grew louder, heavier, deliberate, unrelenting. Adrian pulled Lila behind him, shielding her body with his own. His jaw clenched, every muscle taut with tension. Evelyn remained near the door, unnervingly calm, watching. Lila's heart pounded so violently she thought it might burst. Adrian, what is happening? She demanded, her voice trembling. He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he checked the windows, then the locks, then back at her with eyes that were wild and desperate. It's them, he said finally. The people who orchestrated all of this. The people who made me marry you in the first place. They never intended this to be just paperwork. They want everything. Lila swallowed, gripping his sleeve. Everything? What do you mean? Before he could explain, the front door slammed open with a violent crash. Rain blew in, drenching the hardwood floors. The silhouettes of 3 men appeared in the doorway, faces hidden under hoods, movements precise and coordinated. Evelyn's voice cut through the storm. I told you. Danger. One of the men stepped forward, and Lila caught the glint of a badge. Federal? Private security? She couldn't tell. But there was no hesitation in the way he aimed a gun. Adrian stepped in front of Lila, hands raised slightly. Wait, he shouted. She's innocent. You don't. A shot rang out. Glass shattered from a nearby window. The room erupted into chaos. In the flash of the lightning, Lila saw Adrian reach for her, pulling her down to the floor. Evelyn moved with terrifying grace, grabbing a weapon from her coat. The hooded figures scattered momentarily, and then, silence. For one trembling heartbeat, Lila dared to think they were safe. But then she noticed something chilling. A small, folded envelope lying on the desk, wet from the rain that had blown inside. Her instincts told her don't touch it. But before she could react, the envelope slid toward her as if pushed by some unseen force. She picked it up, hands shaking. Inside was a single note, written in jagged, familiar handwriting. They are coming for you both. Tonight, one of you won't survive. Choose wisely. Lila froze. Adrian grabbed her hand, eyes wide with terror. We don't have time to figure this out. We have to go now. The front door creaked again, slower this time. Someone, or something, was inside the house. And as the shadows stretched across the room, Lila realized with a sickening certainty. They were no longer fighting strangers, no longer fighting fate. They were fighting for their lives. And the clock had already started ticking. The shadows in the house shifted. Rain splashed against the walls as Lila's pulse hammered in her ears. She clung to Adrian's hand, feeling the tremor in his fingers. They had no idea who or how many were inside. Adrian whispered, "We split up. It's the only way to survive." Lila shook her head violently. "No, I'm not leaving you. Not now. Not after. Her words caught in her throat. After the kiss. After the nights they'd shared. After the love that had started as a spark and grown into a wildfire. Adrian's eyes softened for a fleeting moment. Then we fight together. Whatever happens, we stay together. Evelyn's calm voice cut through the tension. There's no time for heroics. Follow my lead. I know how to get out of here. Before Lila could protest, Evelyn darted to a hidden side door, motioning for them to follow. The three of them slipped through the narrow corridor behind the kitchen, each step silent but deliberate. Suddenly, a shadow lunged from the dark. Lila screamed as a hand grabbed her shoulder. She spun, but the intruder wasn't a man with a gun. It was a masked figure, body lithe and trained, who shoved her toward the wall. Adrian reacted instantly, wrapping his arm around her and pulling her out of the way. He slammed into the attacker with a brutal force that sent the figure sprawling across the floor. Lila's heart raced, and she could see for the first time the dangerous strength that Adrian had hidden behind his calm exterior. But the sound of another gun cocking froze her blood. From the far hallway, two figures had cornered them. Adrian pressed a finger to his lips, signaling silence, then whispered in her ear, "Trust me. No matter what, trust me." Her stomach dropped, but she nodded. Evelyn moved forward with deadly precision, knocking one attacker unconscious with a single blow. But the other raised a gun, aiming straight at Adrian. Time seemed to slow. Lila's chest heaved. Adrian looked at her, eyes locking onto hers with an intensity that made her knees weak. "I can't lose you," he mouthed, just before Evelyn shouted, "Now." Adrian dove toward the intruder, tackling him to the ground. The gun went off, shattering a lamp and sending sparks across the room. Lila screamed, covering her face, but when she dared to look, both Adrian and Evelyn were standing, the intruder disarmed and unconscious. Breathing heavily, Adrian grabbed Lila, pulling her into his chest. She buried her face into his shoulder, shaking, terrified, exhilarated, and utterly alive. "Are we safe?" she whispered. Adrian's lips pressed to the top of her head. "Not yet," he said softly. "They won't stop until they get what they came for, and that includes us." Evelyn glanced at the broken window, then at the shadows outside. "They're not just inside. There are more waiting, watching. We have maybe hours, maybe minutes. If we stay here, we die." Lila's heart sank. "Then where do we go?" Adrian pulled back slightly, eyes dark with determination and something fiercer. "Anywhere but here. We leave. Tonight. Together. And we fight back." The storm outside raged harder, as if echoing the fury building inside them. And in that moment, Lila knew, whatever happened next, nothing could keep her from him. But as they turned to flee, a chilling laugh echoed from the shadows of the house. "Running won't save you," a voice hissed, cold and familiar. Lila froze. Her blood ran cold. The voice, it was Adrian's. Except it wasn't him. And behind the sound, another truth revealed itself. The danger wasn't just outside. It was already inside. The house fell silent. Too silent. Rain hammered the roof like frantic fingers drumming a warning. Lila's heart thundered against her ribs as the voice echoed again through the dark hallway. Her husband's voice. But Adrian was standing right beside her. Evelyn stiffened. Adrian's grip on Lila tightened. "That's impossible," he whispered. "It can't be." The voice laughed again. Closer. More distorted. Mocking. "I warned you, Adrian. You should have kept your promise." A figure stepped into view from the shadows at the far end of the corridor. Tall, confident. Shoulders squared with the same unmistakable stance. The same hair. The same face. The same eyes. Lila's breath vanished. It was Adrian. Yet, this version of him wore a smirk laced with cruelty. His gaze didn't hold warmth. It burned with something darker. His hands weren't trembling with fear like the man by her side. No, his movements were cold, calculated, assured. Adrian's body went rigid. "Leave her out of this," he growled. "This isn't between you and her." The other Adrian, a mirror of him twisted by secrets, tilted his head, amused. "Oh, but that's where you're wrong. She's the center of it. Lila's voice trembled. Who are you? The stranger smiled slowly. Someone who should have been him. Evelyn's eyes widened, realization striking like lightning. Oh my God, she breathed. They didn't just arrange the marriage. They duplicated the heir. 2 candidates. 1 life. 1 fate. Lila's knees weakened. Her world tilted again. What does that mean? She whispered. The imposter Adrian took a step forward, eyes locking onto hers, so hauntingly familiar it hurt. It means, he said softly, I was promised everything he has. The company. The legacy. The power. The life. But they chose him. He pointed at the Adrian beside her. Then they married him to you. The key. The trigger to the entire inheritance. The wife whose signature seals the empire. Lila's stomach twisted. I didn't even know, she whispered. I know, the imposter said gently. Almost tenderly. That's why I don't blame you. His expression hardened. But I do blame him. Adrian pushed Lila protectively behind him. I didn't even want the inheritance. I wanted out. I wanted a way to break from them. The marriage was supposed to be temporary, the imposter finished, voice laced with venom. Until you fell in love. The truth stung like fire. The fake Adrian's eyes finally softened as they shifted to Lila, lingering there longer than necessary. You changed him, he murmured. You broke the plan. And because of that, everything has to change. A command crackled through an earpiece in his ear. He smiled. Deadly. Time's up. The windows shattered simultaneously. Wind and glass exploded through the house as figures in black poured in from every direction. Evelyn cursed under her breath, grabbing a fallen weapon. Adrian pulled Lila into his arms, shielding her again, always shielding her. The lights flickered, then died. Suddenly the world was nothing but storm and shadows and panic. Hands grabbed Lila. She screamed. Adrian! He lunged, fingers brushing hers, so close, so heartbreakingly close. Then something struck the back of her head. The world spun into darkness. The last thing she heard before losing consciousness was the imposter Adrian whispering near her ear. Don't worry, Lila. I'll keep you safe now. When she woke, she was gone. And so was he. Darkness swallowed everything. Time slipped into something shapeless, neither hours nor minutes, only the slow, aching beat of fear and the echo of rain in her memory. Lila awoke to the scent of unfamiliar air. Cold. Sterile. Metal walls. Dim lights. A room too still to feel safe. Her wrists weren't tied, but the truth was worse. She was locked in. Footsteps approached slowly, deliberately, and the door slid open with a low hiss. He entered. The imposter Adrian. Except now he wasn't a shadow or a ghost in the dark. He was painfully real. His presence too much like the man she loved, and yet not him. His gaze softened when he saw her awake. You're safe, he said quietly. Lila laughed weakly. Is that what this is? He didn't flinch. You were never supposed to get hurt, he murmured. You were never supposed to matter. A breath. And then you did. To him. To everyone. She swallowed. Where is Adrian? His jaw tightened. Fighting for you. Like an idiot. Lila's chin lifted. He'll find me. A faint smile ghosted across his lips. He's trying. Silence crept in. Then he turned away, voice quieter. He got everything I was meant to have. The name. The claim. The life. Do you know what they told me? He looked at her again. That I was a contingency. A backup heart in case his failed. Lila's breath hitched. Not a twin. Not a clone. Something worse. They made 2 of you, she whispered. He nodded once. 2 heirs. Same face. Same blood. Same purpose. But only one chosen. They raised me strong enough to survive, just not welcome enough to exist. His laugh held no joy. Until this marriage. Until you. He stepped closer. You weren't supposed to be real to him. But you were. His voice softened. And that meant you became real to me too. Her pulse stumbled. You kidnapped me, she said, though the words trembled. "You brought me into this nightmare." "I took you away from a worse one," he replied sharply. "There are men who don't care if he dies, or if you do. They care only about the contract. The empire your signature locks in place. And they will burn the world to control it." Lila stared at him. "And what do you want?" she whispered. He hesitated, then told the truth. "A chance to live, without being someone's shadow. And softer still, and maybe, a chance to be seen by you." Her heart cracked. He wasn't a monster. He was a tragedy. But her heart already belonged to one man. Before she could speak, alarms blared. Red lights flooded the room. The metal walls trembled with impact. Somewhere beyond, shouting erupted. Heavy boots thundered. He didn't move. "Lila!" She ran to him, collapsing into his arms. The moment they touched, the fear broke. Her hands fisted into his shirt, grounding herself in the one truth she still had. He held her like he'd tear apart the world if it tried to take her again. Behind them, the imposter stood silently. No weapon. No fight. Just watching. Adrian finally met his eyes. "You don't have to keep doing this," Adrian said hoarsely. "Come with us. We'll expose them. Both of us. Together." For a breathtaking moment, hope flickered. The imposter looked between them. At Adrian, the brother fate never allowed him to be. At Lila, the woman he never should have cared for. He smiled. Not cruelly. Softly. Sadly. "You still don't understand?" he said. Gunfire exploded down the corridor. Shouts grew closer. "They don't want both of us alive," he continued. "They want one heir. One story. One Adrian." He stepped forward and slipped something into Adrian's hand. "A drive. Everything is on there. Names. Contracts. But enough to burn their empire down." Adrian stared at it, disbelieving. "Why are you doing this?" Lila whispered. His eyes softened when they found hers. "Because he loves you in a way I never got to be loved." A faint breath. "And maybe that's enough for me to know someone like us finally gets to be free." More boots. Closer now. He locked the door behind them and hit a panel on the wall. A countdown began. The room shook. Adrian realized first. "No," he shouted. "Don't do this." The imposter smiled through the glass. "You were chosen," he said gently. "So, choose to live." He looked at Lila one last time, as if memorizing her. "Be happy," he whispered. The blast ripped through the corridor. The facility erupted into chaos as Adrian dragged Lila out, shielding her from fire and debris. They stumbled into the night, into rain again, breathless, shaking, alive. Sirens. Flames. Screams. And somewhere in the collapsing world behind them, one life ended so another could finally begin. Weeks later, the story broke everywhere. The truth came out. The empire fell. The faceless men lost their kingdom. Adrian walked into the quiet room where Lila sat by the window. He had that familiar softness again, the one she'd fallen in love with when he wasn't trying to be anything but hers. He knelt before her. "I married you as a stranger," he said softly, voice thick. "I stayed because I needed you. And I fought because I love you. Not because fate wrote it, because I chose it." Tears filled her eyes. She cupped his face. "Then choose me again," she whispered. He kissed her, not desperate, not unsure, but certain. Outside, the world rebuilt. Inside, two souls finally found home. But sometimes, in the quiet hours of night, when the wind howled like a storm that once changed everything, Lila swore she could still hear a voice in the wind, almost smiling. A life that never got to be lived. A goodbye that never quite left. And she knew. Some love stories don't end with only the lovers. Some end with the sacrifice that made their love possible.